Have you ever thought about adding servers for previous expansions as they were then?
No, you think you do, but you don't.
Most of us are familiar with this iconic moment, a moment which, without exaggerating, might go down in history as one of the biggest miscalculations in gaming. It perfectly illustrates how detached a lot of the decision makers in the industry have long since become from their audience. But this story doesn't begin with this pivotal moment. This story begins earlier, in 2011, perhaps, back in a time when Deathwing roamed the land, having scarred the landscape of our beloved Azeroth forever, changing what seemed to be a constant. Tranquil Northshire Abbey suddenly invaded by Blackrock orcs, the barrens torn asunder by fire and brimstone. From this destruction sprang forth a dream spoken of at first only in hushed tones, in veiled whispers, for fear that saying it out loud would make it cease to exist. A dream of something more, a dream of a return to ages past, to relive adventures beyond count that had captivated so many once upon a time. A dream from which so much had sprung, something that had helped shape the gaming landscape of the 2000s and brought MMORPGs into the mainstream. Fearfully, those believers who sought to return to forsaken ideals did not dare voice their opinion, for if they did, the almighty banhammer of Activision Blizzard might come crashing down on them, banishing their hopes into the nether realm forever and shutting down those few and scarcely populated vanilla private servers that existed at the time. Out of 10 players grew 20. Out of 20, 100. Out of 100, thousands. And from there, it would be unstoppable. Believe me, my friends, for I have witnessed it. I have been there, playing on Warcraft, Phoenix, Emerald Dream, and whatever else they may be called, what is now 11 years ago. I was one of those hundreds. We did not mind that the scripting was so bad, warriors would charge and fall through the earth. We did not mind mages blinking across even the slightest elevation could suffer the same fate. We did not mind the scripting for every single escort quest was broken. We did not mind the poorly written emulator meant class interactions did not work the way they were supposed to. And we did not mind grinding bucks in Tenaris was peak performance leveling because their XP gain was absolutely broken. For we were content. Content to be in exactly the place we wanted to be. To run flags across Warzone Gulch without a pesky timer limiting our fun. To see old Alterac even though the BGs rarely even filled up. To witness the rise and fall of Onyxia once again. To bask in the heroes of old and relive those glory days. We are, of course, talking about vanilla or classic World of Warcraft. Do you remember how ludicrous it seemed that we should once upon a time get a remake of vanilla World of Warcraft? They laughed in our faces, said we must be out of our minds, and now, there it is. Classic WoW by now has not only one, but 3 different iterations, 4 even, if you count Season of Mastery. Classic Era, Classic Wrath of the Lich King, and Classic Hardcore. Can you believe it? So who is to say we won't get Classic Plus? I'm not sure it is very likely, but it is absolutely possible at this point. I have seen this thing grow from the smallest and lowest it's maybe ever been, 200 people on a server, over the shady dealings of Elysium to Nostalrius and beyond. I have learned that no matter how improbable something might seem, the court of public opinion can change, and with it, the realm of possibility. Perhaps Classic Plus is not a matter of if, but when. But even so, will they do it justice? Microsoft acquiring Activision could spell hope, but mega corporations work in mysterious ways, and we won't know until it arrives, if arrive it does. Still then, let us ask, what makes Classic classic? Is it the longer dungeons with their absurd amount of trash mobs by modern standards? Is it the way the classes work and at the same time don't? Is it the grind we associate with hitting level 60, or is it the in-between? The time it takes to get from A to B? The community that forms through forced interactions, a feature a lot of MMOs seem to get wrong these days. I think mainly it is because there's something akin to horizontal progression. Horizontal in the sense that while there are, of course, raid tiers, not everything you do will be invalidated by the arrival of the next tier. Maybe it is because Classic's emphasis is not necessarily on item level, though that does exist, of course, but on something else. Maybe the loot system. The artificial scarcity that comes with the way loot is handled in Classic, which results in people coveting something for way longer than they might actually end up possessing it. Maybe it is the sheer ridiculousness of it all. Which grown adult, after all, can afford to really play this game? The amount of effort and dedication required to be at the top is ridiculous. But at the same time, you're free to explore at your own leisure, only competing with others insofar as you wish to. This is your journey. You are the one that dictates what to make of it. For the beauty of Classic lies not only in the endgame, but the journey. A phrase we have all heard before and long grown tired of, I know, but it is true. Enhancements to Classic have to be made on every level, not just in an endgame sense. We would need new leveling zones, or perhaps expand on old ones. Turtle WoW, the Classic Plus private server that already exists, would be a great place to start looking for inspiration. Most existing zones have received an overhaul, with others that had long since been planned being added, such as most recently Gilneas and Hyjal. Dungeons such as Karazhan, which had been cut from World of Warcraft early in development, are being added back in. The important thing Turtle got right, though, is that they rejected vertical progression systems in favor of largely horizontal ones. There are many paths to success in Classic, and it is up to the player to choose which ones to pursue. The fundamental difference I see between Classic and retail is simply how it structures attention, or doesn't for that matter. It actually leaves it up to the player to decide where they would like to direct their gaze. The subscription-based business model, which Blizzard has come to master over the years, lends itself to trying to build a sustainable income through returning players, and as much is reflected in the modern game systems. They can be seen as an intricately oiled machine, fine-tuned to perfection, that works by forcing you to do just enough week after week to have you still coming back for more, but tries not to have you burn out doing it. It is precisely that which doesn't want you to grind Blackrock Depths for 6 days in a row for that Savage Gladiator chain, only to lose the role to someone else and have you decide that actually you would rather just go and touch grass than play another minute of this damn game. But with that comes other issues, because systems are just that, systems. They make a game, well, gamey, artificial, calculated. While all this is at play in Classic, it is on the one hand somewhat more hidden, and on the other hand a lot less refined and a bit more naive, if you will. Of course, now that we know all the items, know the best in slot for all the classes, know which races are the best, it has fundamentally changed the way we play the game, but the game itself is still the same. We can choose to indulge in that grind for perfection, or we can let it be and set our sights on the journey itself. The world isn't there for the player to conquer in a set-in-stone way. It is believable because it is, because it doesn't cater to the player. Why Azshara is my favorite zone is precisely because it is unwieldy to navigate, treacherous and remote. But this adversity gives it character. It makes it memorable because it feels as though it wasn't made, it just is. That's what makes Azshara, along with many other places in classic World of Warcraft, somehow believable. There is an actual world there to experience, no matter how virtual it may be. Something that, paradoxically, does not seem to exist for us, even though we obviously know it was made to be consumed by us. This leads to another difference between classic and retail: the scale. You are a cog in a machine, a random adventurer that, through luck or sheer dedication, may etch their names in the annals of history by eventually bringing down the greatest of foes. Or perhaps you would rather become a famed enchanter or a skilled fisherman. You are not the chosen one. You will not storm the broken shore alongside Tyrion. Instead, you will help him dispose of a few pests around his neighborhood, and in turn, he will entrust you with a quest to cleanse his son. Classic has left many stones unturned, from the unfinished zone of Azshara to the quest line around Aranicus that just ends in a lonesome hut somewhere on the snowy plains of Winterspring. Those are but a few of a very long list of things that are present but not yet fleshed out. It is a maniacal, mammoth task on which those making Classic Plus would have to set out in bringing life to even the most unpolished corners of Azeroth. Classic Plus, if it should ever come, would be a humongous undertaking to get right. How on earth are they going to do this masterpiece justice? All our pent-up expectations, after years and years of experience in Classic, accumulating in this, hopefully, final form. How could they ever get it right? What would it take to once again achieve greatness? Could they possibly be capable of doing what is required? I personally have my doubts. However, if you take anything away from this video, it is that horizontal progression, as opposed to vertical, is definitely going to be a centerpiece to what Classic Plus should strive for. We don't need just another raid tier. We need new stuff at every corner, along the way, and towards the end. Classic Plus is not impossible. Perhaps it is not even unlikely at this point. It may come, but whether it will be the prince that was promised or the final coming of winter in the 20-year-long saga that has been World of Warcraft remains to be seen. I thank you for watching. Please let me know what you think and take care.